There are many cruel gods in Greek mythology, but none were more feared than Zeus. For immortals do not envy gold or kingdoms, they envy love. Elara was never meant to die. She was 23 years old, alive with warmth and laughter. She lived in a small coastal village beneath white cliffs and olive trees, where the ocean glowed gold at sunset. She loved music. She loved the sea. She loved life. And every evening, she climbed the cliffs alone to watch the horizon disappear into the sun. She had dreams, a future, a life still waiting to happen. The villagers adored her. She danced barefoot during festivals. She laughed loudly. She cried easily. She was painfully human and impossibly alive. High above the mortal world, the king of Olympus sat upon his golden throne, lightning twisting lazily between his fingers. He had begun noticing something strange about his brother. Hades no longer ruled with cold indifference. He wandered the underworld gardens alone. He listened to mortal prayers. He stared toward the world above, as though longing for something. And Zeus hated it. Hades was not supposed to want. He was not supposed to dream. He was not supposed to love. He was meant to remain beneath the earth forever, alone. So Zeus summoned the fates. Cut her thread. The three sisters hesitated. My lord, her life is unfinished. Zeus's expression darkened. Cut it. The storm arrived without warning. Elara stood near the cliffside path, her white dress whipping violently in the wind. The sea below crashed against jagged black stone. She tried to turn back, but the earth beneath her feet suddenly crumbled. She screamed, falling into darkness, into freezing water, into death, and far beneath the earth. Hades suddenly looked up. Elara awoke, coughing black river water onto cold stone. She gasped for air. Cold mist surrounded her. The sky was gone. The stars were gone. Only darkness remained. Where am I? No soul answered. But from the shadows, someone watched. Hades descended the black marble steps slowly, and Elara's breath caught in her throat. He was nothing like the stories. No monster. No rotting king. The god before her looked young, but ancient in the eyes. He was tall, broad-shouldered, built like a warrior carved from shadow and stone. Dark robes draped across him like flowing night. Thick black curls rested loosely around bronze skin touched by firelight. And his face, beautiful in a way that felt dangerous. Sharp jaw. Dark eyes like eclipsed stars. A face sculpted with impossible perfection, yet burdened by centuries of exhaustion. Elara had expected death to look terrifying, but the man before her looked heartbreakingly lonely. You took me too early. Hades blinked slowly. No soul had ever spoken to him that way before. I had a life. I know. Then send me back. Hades looked away, because he could not. Or will not. The question lingered heavily between them. Elara expected Hades to send her away, or imprison her. Instead, he kept her beside him. At first, only because something about her death felt wrong. The threads of fate surrounding her soul were fractured, incomplete, like destiny itself had been interrupted. So while Hades searched for answers, Elara remained within the underworld, always near him, always watching. She followed beside the god of death through black marble halls and endless chambers beneath the earth. She watched kings bow before him, monsters lower their heads, ancient spirits flee from his gaze. And yet, when Hades spoke, he never raised his voice. He ruled with silence, not cruelty. Elara could not understand it. This was not the monster mortals feared. One evening, She found him alone inside a massive chamber lined with burning maps of human lives. Hades stood motionless before them, dark curls falling loosely around tired eyes. "You watch them?" Elara asked softly. "All of them," Hades replied. "Why?" For the first time, something painful crossed his expression. "Because every soul who enters my kingdom was loved by someone." That answer stayed with her. Days passed within the underworld, then weeks. Hades walked beside her through hidden places no mortal soul had ever seen. Gardens blooming beneath crystal light, silver flowers swaying in underground wind, ancient libraries carved into obsidian cliffs. Elara slowly stopped fearing him. One evening, she found Hades sitting alone beside the river Styx. The god of death stared silently into black water. "You're lonely," she whispered. Hades said nothing. But for the first time in thousands of years, someone understood. The storms above the mortal world lasted 3 days, and deep beneath the earth, rainwater trickled slowly through the ceilings of the underworld like silver threads. Elara found Hades standing beside an obsidian balcony overlooking his kingdom. He looked beautiful there, dangerously beautiful. His dark curls shifted softly in the cold wind. The firelight danced across bronze skin, across sharp features carved almost too perfectly to belong to a man. But his eyes still carried unbearable loneliness. "You disappear sometimes," Elara whispered softly. Hades gave a faint smile. "You would too, after several thousand years." She stepped closer, close enough to feel warmth radiating from him. "You don't frighten me anymore." Hades looked down at her slowly. Something vulnerable flickered behind his expression. "You should be careful saying things like that." "Why?" His voice lowered, rougher now, more human. "Because every moment beside you makes it harder to let you go." Elara's heart ached at the confession, because suddenly, she realized she did not want him to let her go either. She reached for him first, slowly, carefully. Hades froze when her fingers touched his face. No mortal had touched the god of death willingly in thousands of years. And when he finally kissed her, the underworld trembled. The torches along the walls burst brighter. The river Styx rippled violently through darkness, as though even death itself had paused to witness it. The kiss began softly, tentative, then desperate. Centuries of loneliness collapsing all at once. Hades pulled her against him carefully, like a man terrified she might vanish. Elara's fingers tangled into his thick black curls, and for the first time since the birth of Olympus, the god of death forgot he was immortal. That night, Elara stayed beside him. A fire burned low within Hades' private chamber. Golden light flickered across black marble walls. The storm above the world rumbled softly in the distance. Elara sat wrapped in soft linen beside the fire. Hades watched her quietly, still almost unable to believe she was real. "What is it?" she whispered. Hades looked away briefly, almost ashamed of the answer. "In all my existence, nothing has ever felt like this." Elara crossed the room slowly, bare feet against cold stone. When she placed her hands against his chest, she felt it. A heartbeat. Slow. Heavy. Alive. Hades covered her hands with his own, closing his eyes, almost overwhelmed by the feeling. "Stay with me tonight." The words were quiet, not spoken like a god, spoken like a lonely man. Elara answered by kissing him again. Slowly, deeply, with all the warmth immortality had denied him. The storm raged through the night, while Hades held her beneath flickering firelight. He touched her with impossible gentleness, like something sacred, something fragile, something he already feared losing. And as Elara lay against him, listening to the steady heartbeat beneath his ribs, she realized something terrifying. She had fallen in love with the god of death. The ancient laws of the underworld were clear. If a mortal willingly accepted the crown beside Hades, they would become immortal, queen of the underworld, bound to death forever. Elara stood beside the black throne in silence. The obsidian crown rested between them. Silver flames flickered across its surface. If I wear it, she looked up at him carefully. I can stay with you. Hades' expression changed instantly. Pain, fear, something almost desperate. No. Elara blinked softly. Hades, no. His voice echoed violently through the chamber. For the first time, Elara saw genuine terror in the god of death. Hades stepped toward her slowly. The firelight danced across dark curls and tired eyes. You do not understand what eternity becomes. He looked toward the endless darkness of his kingdom, the silent rivers, the endless souls, the loneliness. I would rather lose you. His voice cracked slightly. Than condemn you to this place. That is exactly why I refuse to let you become like me. Elara realized then that Hades had never truly hated the underworld. He hated what eternity had done to him, and he would rather suffer forever. Elara's eyes filled with tears. But I love you. And the way Hades looked at her then was almost unbearably human. He touched her face gently, like something precious, something temporary. Then watch it happen to her too. The skies above the underworld suddenly split apart. Lightning tore through darkness, and Zeus descended. Elara stepped backward in fear, but Hades moved instantly in front of her. Protective, instinctive. Zeus smiled. There it is. Hades' voice became deadly calm. What have you done? You were never meant to love anything, brother. Elara looked between them in horror. She was never supposed to die, Hades realized. Zeus smiled wider. No, but I knew you would fall for her. And now, I can take her away. Elara stared at Zeus in horror. You killed me. Lightning flickered across Olympus, but Zeus showed no remorse. You were necessary. Elara's voice trembled. Necessary for what? Zeus looked toward Hades slowly. With all his power, my brother had finally begun to want something. And gods who begin to want become dangerous. Hades stepped forward, the shadows around him darkening violently. You used her. Zeus laughed softly. And I was right. Look at yourself. The god of death brought to ruin by a mortal girl. Elara felt Hades tense beside her. Not with anger, with pain. Because deep down, part of him feared Zeus was right. Elara looked toward the black throne, then toward Hades. If I take the crown, Zeus cannot take me back. The chamber fell silent. Hades' expression changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. No. Hades. No. His voice echoed violently through the underworld. The rivers trembled. The torches darkened. Hades stepped toward her slowly, pain flickering behind ancient eyes. You do not understand what eternity becomes. I would rather lose you, his voice cracked slightly, than condemn you to this place. Elara's eyes filled with tears. But I love you. And the way Hades looked at her then was almost unbearably human. He touched her face gently, like something fragile, something precious. That is exactly why I refuse to let you become like me. Zeus ordered Elara return to the mortal world before sunrise, but Hades refused. For the first time since the Titans, the god of the underworld stood against Olympus. I would burn this kingdom to ash before I lose her. The underworld trembled violently. Even Zeus looked stunned, because Hades had never defied him before. There was only one way to protect her from the gods forever: to abandon Olympus entirely. Hades would have to surrender his immortality forever. Elara's eyes filled with tears. No. But Hades smiled softly, the first true smile she had ever seen from him. An eternity without you is not eternity at all. Elara stared at Zeus in disbelief. Why are you doing this? The king of Olympus looked toward his brother slowly. Lightning flickered silently behind him. Because gods are not meant to love mortals. Hades' jaw tightened. You speak of rules while hiding behind fear. For the first time, Zeus's expression darkened. Fear? The storm above the underworld roared violently. Thunder cracked across the black skies. You are beginning to forget your place, brother. Zeus descended the final steps slowly. Power radiated from him like a storm barely contained. The god of death no longer feared Olympus, no longer desired power, no longer cared for eternity. Hades said nothing, because every word was true. Zeus looked at him almost bitterly. And gods who stop valuing power become dangerous. Elara's eyes slowly shifted toward Hades, finally understanding. This had never only been about her. It was about control. Zeus stepped closer. So I gave you the one thing powerful enough to destroy you. Hades' voice lowered dangerously. Love. Zeus smiled coldly. Exactly. The chamber fell silent. The river Styx trembled beneath the earth. But then, something unexpected happened. Hades began to laugh softly. Not with madness, not with cruelty, but with exhaustion. When he finally looked back at Zeus, there was no fear left in his eyes. You still do not understand. The shadows around the god of death darkened violently. You think love weakens me. Hades stepped beside Elara, protective, certain. But for the first time in eternity, I finally have something worth surrendering power for. And for the first time since the beginning of Olympus, Zeus had no answer. The river Styx parted. Light poured into the underworld. And slowly, the god of death began to change. Immortal power faded from his body. Warm blood flowed through ancient veins. His breathing became uneven. A heartbeat thundered painfully inside his chest. Hades collapsed to his knees, not as a god, but as a man. Elara caught him before he fell, holding him tightly as sunlight touched his skin for the first time, and beneath the first sunrise he had ever truly seen. Hades smiled. They vanished from history after that. No throne, no kingdom, no immortality, only love. But in quiet villages beside the sea, old fishermen still tell stories of a dark-haired man with ancient eyes who looks at the woman beside him as though she saved him from death itself. And so, the story of Hades and Elara comes to an end, a reminder that even the gods cannot command the heart. Thank you for listening, and until the next tale, may your dreams be filled with myths and moonlight. Good night.